And that's free. That just seems even more spread out.
Yeah.
Kind of like throughout the city.
Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday, September 25th, 2025 meeting of the Historic Preservation Architectural Review Commission. I'm Kevin Mallinson, the chair, and in the past I have failed to introduce folks briefly, which I think I should do. The commission members we have online tonight is Pete Sanger. We have Debbie Volz, who's our ex officio or shared partner with planning, and she is not here this evening. She's been excused. We have Michael Looney, Michael DiPaolo, Michael Miniman, a lot of Michaels, and
Not
Deb
Michael.
Hansen. And then also sitting up here with us is our city solicitor, Alex Burns, and our ex officio from the mayor and city council, Joe Elder. And in the back is Janelle Cornwell, who's the city planner. And in someone else's absence this evening, she is running all our technology and doing multiple things. So much appreciated. In acknowledgement of our coming up to our 250th anniversary of our country, I'd like to read a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we gather on the traditional lands of the Sinki Siniks, the Native Americans who were the original stewards of the Cape Henlopen and Lewis area prior to the arrival of the Europeans. Their respect for the natural environment continues to inspire us in our efforts to honor and protect this territory that we call the city of Lewis today. I have one announcement, and that is that in this past week, Deb Hansen and I met with the mayor and members of the Lewis 250 Commission, who are planning activities for all of next year to celebrate 250 years of our independence in America. But Lewis 250 is a particular set of activities that will be centered around our town and our history. So we're very, very pleased to be involved with some of the planning for these activities and join in. There'll be more of that coming in the future, more information about that. But for anybody who wants, there's a city website. If you go to the Lewis City website and click on community, one of the links underneath community is the Lewis 250 website. It will be updated on a regular basis with all kinds of activities for residents as well as visitors. Onto minutes. We have minutes from August 7th public hearing, and March 21st. First, do I have any comments from the commissioners? Any corrections to the minutes? Any additions, deletions?
Chairman, I move that the minutes.
I have one.
Oh, sorry.
At the August 7th meeting, inadvertently, someone did not get to give their public comment verbally. And so they had written their comments down and sent them. And in the minutes, they're really all the way at the very end of the minutes. And so one of the people who listens to the Zoom is the woman who does our minutes, but I'd like the commission to make a motion about this. I just want to add under public comments, the section, the public comments on page 1. Public comments by Kay Carnahan and Thomas Nobile concerning the condemnation of the structure at 111 Coleman Avenue property can be found on page 12 of these minutes. So that would just alert anyone looking at public comments to realize there are further public comments. They're just 12 pages down. Is that acceptable?
Sure.
Okay, I moved it. I'll move that we accept that one change to the correction. Otherwise, the minutes were fine.
I move that we accept the regular meeting minutes of August 7th, 2025, as amended the public hearing minutes from August 7th, 2025, and the special meeting minutes of March 21st, 2025.
You have a second?
I would second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Pete? He might be muted. I just want to give him a chance to vote. Okay, we'll recognize him. Thank you very much. Okay, applications. C1, first application, discussion, public comment and possible action regarding H25-25 on behalf of Brian and Sheila Locklear for the construction of a knee wall at the end of the driveway of a contributing building. The property is located at 212 West 3rd Street, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.07-203.00. The zoning is R4 historic.
Looks like they are online. Chair.
They are online, yes.
We are.
So this application went through the chair and staff process, and it was not approved. So the applicant has requested the consideration by the full commission. And again, it's for a knee wall at in their driveway. And you can proceed if you can just please state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. So it's Brian and Sheila Lockyer, and the address is 212 West 3rd Street.
And so to be clear, this is an after the fact approval because the knee wall is there.
So if
Yeah,
you
so
That's from the,
give an overview of your application, please.
yeah, that would be helpful. Brian? Could you
Kevin?
give a brief overview of what you're asking the commission to consider?
well, what I have a PowerPoint that I wanted to go through. I spoke with Janelle about this, so I'm screen sharing right now.
Okay.
So if we can put that up, it's just to go ahead and show you what we did here. All right. Janelle, can I control the pages? In other words, can I move them along?
You should be able to. It's yours. It's your presentation.
Let's see. It seems like it's static.
We do have your application in our packets, Brian. Oh, that
That's the
seems to be
packet.
working.
That's the packet.
Oh, that's the packet. Okay.
That's the package.
You know, it's showing us the packet.
But I should be able to screen share the PowerPoint.
Give me just a
She's
minute.
trying.
Just trying to double check something.
Sure. That's a PDF, I believe.
Yep. All right, try now.
Janelle, I don't see anything except a wallpaper. Let's
Okay,
see.
so I think you try scrolling through your presentation to the next page and see what happens.
Let's see.
Because I gave you permission to share.
That I know. I saw that. I don't see it. Janelle, I can't move it along. You have the PDF, so I could probably work with you on that if you go page by page.
You can give me just a few minutes? Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Thanks for your
Are you in
patience.
presentation mode?
Well,
So Brian, if what was in your presentation is in the packet, then Janelle should be able to bring up the PDF of the packet and go through that. But in the meantime, could you explain to the commission what you're asking for?
right. So, I mean, I wanted to go through, what we're asking for is to keep the wall. And the reason why, first of all, on the first screen here, and Janelle, if you could just scroll through this with me. So we want to thank you for the opportunity to present our appeal today. And we want you guys to know our family has great respect for the town of Lewis, the historical district, and the heritage associated with our home. When we added a small accent garden wall at the end of the new brick driveway, we were totally unaware that we did anything wrong or broke any rules. At no point did we intend to circumvent guidelines or act improperly. Our intention for adding the accent wall, and Kevin, you know this, was to shield the large plastic garbage containers from street view, thereby maintaining the aesthetic integrity of the property and the town. Additionally, we placed planters with flowers on top of the wall to further enhance the visual appeal of our yard. So Janelle, can you go to the next slide? Would you be able to do that on the PDF?
You keep going and I'm gonna catch up with you in just a few minutes, okay?
Right, but it's visual. So I wanted to show the work that was done, what we did, how we got to where we are and why. And without the visual presentation, I can't really move forward from here. Let's see if this works.
Technology is not always such an easy thing to manage.
No, it's not. I'd love to be able to
No, we
scroll
understand,
through.
Brian.
Crazy. Doesn't move.
I think it's not as easy as it seems.
No. We do have backup because Janelle does have the PDF. You see anything there? No. What's more? I don't know.
Thanks for your patience, everyone.
No.
She's getting it there now. She's pointing out.
Chair,
She's trying to pull it up there now, Brian.
while we're
Mhm.
waiting for the technical difficulties, this could be an opportunity to accept public comment if you'd like on this application. You don't have to.
Well, I was gonna ask the commissioners, first of all, if they had any comments or questions themselves, because they've all read the packet and looked at it, and then we could go to the public after that. Would that be okay, Brian?
I guess. I mean, that's not
No,
ideal.
You could
But
still do your presentation when she gets the PDF. Okay. it
Oh,
looks-
we're good to go.
Got it. There you go. Thank you, Janelle.
All right. So, all right. Just let me get to where she is. So we're doing the PDF version, right? Janelle?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So, so in this photograph, and I guess I'm assuming possibly everybody saw this. This is what the home looked like before we started doing renovations. And, you know, we put a lot of effort into this house. We went through HPARC for a lot of, you know, the tin roof that we have, or the metal roof. We replaced 20 some odd windows. There was certainly a number of things that we obviously had to get permits for, and we're fine with it. We weren't trying to go ahead and, like I said, circumvent anything. We got the permit for the driveway. But as far as the home renovation, this house was needed an awful lot of work. So we put a lot of time and effort into that.
Should you go to the next?
Janelle, you can scroll up. Thank you. And keep scrolling. So that's what the yard looked like. We actually didn't have to replace the water main or the sewer line, but we knew it was old. So we did it anyway because we wanted to make sure that it would be permanent, the driveway. We wouldn't have to tear it up one day to go ahead and fix the utilities under the driveway.
Next slide.
Thank you, Shelley. So what we also did was there were 2 water meters that would have been seen from the street. So we really wanted to hide. We wanted the driveway not to be bothered or encumbered by these water meters. So we moved them to the back of the driveway. And by the way, the wall was going to be in front of that.
Next slide.
Obviously, the sidewalk was a mess, had a big crack in it. And we solved the problem by putting in a new driveway and also having a new sidewalk as a result of that. So what we're doing here as a homeowner is we're trying to improve the look of the house, keep it in the best of shape. Yeah, I know. Let's see. Okay, so now, Janelle, you're doing a great job. Next slide. I'm sorry. We even went so far, and in some ways I feel like, oh, you guys didn't do enough to go ahead and keep the historic nature of Lewis by the putting this wall up. We actually took the time and effort to go ahead and look at the brick paths at St. Peter's. And I measured the brick size, the mortar width, and the colors of the brick, and had the mason go ahead and do that at a considerable more expense to go ahead and be in unison, basically, with the church and Lewis.
Next slide.
And obviously, you can see the entrance to St. Peter's Church. We know it well. It's a gorgeous looking church. It's part of the reason why we love Lewis. And we're so happy to have the house that's directly behind it. You can see the pathway on the left, and we had the herringbone pattern on the right. So we had the mason go ahead and make
Next slide.
the driveway look like St. Peter's Pass. The other thing too is we actually had the stonework, and again, we didn't know we were doing anything wrong. So the stonework was put in to go ahead and match the original paver stones that were with the house, and they were probably put in 30, 40 years ago. So I thought it was a decent match with that consideration.
Next slide.
So we also had so many compliments from neighbors and passerbys that specifically mentioned the accent wall. The reaction from the community has been overwhelmingly positive.
Next slide.
So here's how it looked before we started the work. This is how our home looked, and this is what it looks like today. So, Kevin, I saw your piece and what you wrote about. It wasn't typical to have a cement stone block used in Lewis. And I pondered that because we had a lot of time to think about these things, right? So I walked around and I saw that certainly stone block was used in Lewis. Here's the Methodist Church, which was built entirely of stone block over 100 years ago.
Next slide.
And of course, we all know this house on 2nd Street. It's gorgeous, has a beautiful stone block wall.
Next slide.
So it wasn't uncommon to have stone block used in the city of Lewis.
Next slide.
So there are also numerous properties in the historic district that have used similar stonework to ours. Now, these are cement stone blocks, every one of them.
Next slide.
So on 2nd Street, you see that we can call it a retaining wall or a boundary wall, but that's actually cement stone block that they're using with that
Next slide.
house. Beautiful house, by the way.
Next slide.
This house is gorgeous. Again, they have cement stone block.
Next slide. Next slide.
And this one used a different type of cement stone block, but nevertheless, it's beautiful. It curves. You can see that it's a
Next
different
slide.
coloration. But still, I don't think it takes away from the historic nature of the town at all.
Next slide.
What I like about this one is brick and stone. The combination of the two, I think, works very well together. All right, Janelle, that's fine. This here is new construction, relatively new construction on 2nd Street that's also using cement stone block as a border wall or a wall in general, a retaining wall.
Next slide.
I thought this was interesting. So Cheryl and I love walking through the Historical Society village. It's absolutely beautiful. And I was walking by it one day and I noticed
Next slide.
on the next slide that the Historical Society Park actually has concrete stone retaining wall as well.
Next slide.
Now, Mulberry Street's right, as you guys probably know, it's right around the corner from where we are. And there are plenty of examples of stone, cement stone block being used
Next slide.
on Mulberry Street.
Next slide.
This house is pretty, very, very pretty.
Next slide.
And then
Next slide.
Janelle had sent us the standards and design guidelines for 2025. And I looked through it and I saw the issue, I think it's on page 54. But what kind of surprised me was that on the cover, next slide, Janelle, I circled the 3 houses that are on the cover of the standards and design guidelines. And 2 of those houses,
Next slide.
yeah, there's 2 houses there. I took a picture of it
Next slide.
about a month or so ago. Those 2 houses on the cover are also using concrete stone border retaining walls,
Next slide.
and they're beautiful.
Next slide.
And those are historic contributing houses, I would imagine. Beautiful homes.
Next slide.
Now, the red house, the red cedar shakes, that was the inspiration for the wall and the driveway that we put in.
Next slide.
And you can see here, you have the brick driveway meeting the stone border wall. So we saw that, and I said to Sheila, you know, if we go ahead and put that to the back of our driveway, very similar to our neighbor around the block from us, that would look very attractive. I took pictures of it and we decided, you know what, if we can find something that looks similar to that, that should work. So
Next slide.
I took the quote out of the guide that says the goal of H Park is to encourage historical preservation. We agree with that 100%. We own the house that we're in right now is over 100 years old. We love old homes, and this house we have such an affinity with. We just love everything about it. So we understand what H Park does, and we appreciate it. We never want to go ahead and do something that's out of the ordinary in the historic district. It was never our intention to do that. But I also highlighted that you also say without discouraging creativity or growth. We almost feel like we were kind of pickled in or kind of put in a corner here where it's like, well, you guys messed up, take it down. And it was, I'll be honest with you, Kevin, it was devastating when you told me that. So, and I don't particularly know what our options are.
Next slide.
But to summarize, again, we were totally unaware that our project might violate any rules. The intent was good. It was a positive intent, was to hide the large plastic garbage cans from street view. And we believe that the accent wall would complement the existing pathway and blend it well with the weathered cedar shakes of the house while providing contrast to this brick driveway. We also felt, that's okay. Oh yeah, there you go. Very good. We also felt that the stonework would enhance the historic feel of the home and the neighborhood. And our hope today is that you will allow us to keep this beautiful addition to our yard, and your consideration on our behalf would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for a very nice presentation. Appreciate that.
I wish the PowerPoint worked, but that's all right.
Comments, questions from the commissioners?
Well, I appreciate the thoroughness of your presentation and the efforts that you undertook to document fine examples of different materials used around the neighborhood. So I think here I personally like the different textures and materials here. I think the brick driveway is a superlative example of how things should be. Is it not hearing me?
We can hear
Oh,
you.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a superlative example of how some of these paved areas should be treated. And I also appreciate the effort to obscure the trash cans from view.
I would
Thank
just
you.
add, other than the example of 240 Second Street, all the other Second Street examples were put in, including the Historical Society, were put in by the city in 2005 as when they redid Second Street. So they're not exactly historic, but the city did put them in.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, I really do appreciate and understand that you did not know that you needed permission to build this knee wall. And I think you did a really excellent job on the driveway. And I like how you say that you were trying to, what did you say? You wanted to match or replicate St. Peter's walkways.
Yes, that's
But
right.
if you look in the guidelines, 197-59B, the standards, along in there, it says all materials used shall be consistent with and appropriate in design, texture, and other visual qualities to the style and period of the structure. The house has a brick foundation and a new brick driveway. And you say you designated the driveway to replicate St. Peter's. St. Peter's also has a brick wall. And I appreciate your support and desire to hide the trash cans, but the concrete blocks are concrete blocks. They're not cut stone. And it doesn't reflect the materials in the original house with the brick foundation and the cedar siding. Now you've added brick on the driveway. It doesn't seem to me that the walkway was original to the house. And I think that a brick knee wall of the same size and shape would be much more appropriate.
I had the same comments as my other colleagues. I again commend you for really taking a look at the neighborhood. It's commendable that you really considered, and it's something that we really are very mindful of, about waste cans visible from the streetscape. So your intention was right on the mark. It's also commendable that you are looking across the street at St. Peter's, but I agree with Mike to really look at St. Peter's and look at how those materials were really used. I would love to hear from our colleague Pete Sanger, who is kind of our material expert. If he can give us any clarity about concrete stone. We struggle with this all the time with new technology and materials. As an example, with wood that is not wood but is meant to look like wood. And so, again, we're following those in the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines, and the intent is to be as close as absolutely possible to the use of original materials in a historic home. So Pete, if you're there and could weigh in, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well.
I'm here. It was interchange stone and concrete, so no different. The ones on the Second Street house were probably paving stones, Belgian block, it looks like, from Philadelphia. But you do have a great replica, and I hate to see waste for it. If you'd come first, I think someone would have said, please use natural materials. But other than that, it's hard for most people to see the difference, probably.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the public?
Janelle, I just want to look at a slide that is near the end of the packet. Janelle, would you be able to go back to the slide presentation and go almost to, basically, it's going to be the last 2 pages. Because I want to, Pete said something interesting about those stones and how they look. And what I did was I uploaded the photo. I wanted an impartial, non-biased opinion about those stones because those stones are supposed to look like they are cut stone blocks. And that was the whole intent. And they look old already. And I even told the masons, I want the worst looking stones to be street side. And it doesn't mean that I wanted them to look ugly. I wanted them to look chipped and old, like they've been there for 100+ years. And I think they achieved that. So when I uploaded this photo for this accent wall, and I asked AI, ChatGPT, and I asked the question, explain this, the stone types. And here's how AI responded to the image. It says, based on the image.
Brian, I hate to interrupt, but we've been going on a long time. Can you make it brief?
Yeah, I'll read it to you real
We're
quick.
actually in the middle of trying to get this, moved along. It's been.
I'll finish up with this.
so long.
Based on the image, the stone types in the retaining wall appear to be the type of natural stone commonly used in landscaping, likely a form of field stone or cut stone. The stones are irregularly shaped with a mix of gray and brown tones, suggesting they could be granite, limestone, or a similar sedimentary or metamorphic rock. These stones are typically quarried and then split or cut into blocks for use in retaining walls. The variation in size and color indicates that they are either naturally occurring field stones or handcrafted to mimic a rustic, natural look. The rough texture and uneven edges are characteristic of these materials, providing both aesthetic appeal and structural stability. I didn't write that. That was coming from.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I have a motion from any of the commissioners? What? A motion to approve, a motion to deny, and just a motion.
Well, I guess since I went first on comments, then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the application as submitted. And it's thanks to the applicant.
And do I have a second to the motion? Speed online. Okay.
It's gone.
Just as a friendly reminder, if you second, you don't need to vote in favor. It's just putting it on the table.
It's just putting it on the table for a vote, correct?
We have lost Pete. He is no longer online. I think.
Okay.
So I will second this to enable us to have a discussion.
Okay, so seconded by Deb Hanson. Discussion, please.
So my thoughts are that I would so much rather have had this discussion before the wall was constructed. Again, I would have liked to have had this discussion with all of your research and your thoughts. And my third question on my notes today were, what construction materials did you consider for this project? And there were several options that could have come into play, and that I understand being enthusiastic about a project and moving that along and being excited about it. I do that myself, but it would have been oh so much better to either have a chair and staff or a consultation with H Park before the work was actually done. And it appears that you have had that experience with H Park when you've done other aspects of your house. So I can underscore that how much we appreciate the chance to weigh in before the construction is done.
We understand that too. And, like I said before, we didn't know we were doing anything wrong. We would never have put it up if we thought it was going to be an issue. We just didn't know. And you got to understand, we walked around town and there was plenty of similar stonework. So
Brian,
it didn't seem.
I
it
don't
didn't
mean to
seem
be rude,
unusual.
Brian, but we're in the middle of a motion.
I'm sorry. Oh,
The
I
middle of
shouldn't
a vote.
talk.
So the discussion was for the.
Sorry.
commissioners to discuss
Sorry,
if they
guys.
had any last things they wanted to say before they voted.
Okay. I'm going to say that, I really do appreciate the effort you've put into this. But going back to the standards, I don't find that this material is appropriate for this application. I think, I'm going to say that brick would be a much more obvious solution. I do think the idea of the knee wall is an excellent one, just, not with this fake stone.
I would echo the previous comments. I'm not sure about, we talked about the walls on Second Street, the walls at the Historical Society. The other examples, I'm not sure when they went in, they may have gone in prior to H Park. I'm not sure if there's any building permits or other records that might be available, but again, I think if we could all go back and do this, we would have done this before anything was built. And I do think even the 240 Second Street example, that was certainly a historical outlier in Lewis. I don't know if there's any other stone walls like that in Lewis from the 20s or 30s or whenever that wall was built. So I think I would tend to agree with Michael that that brick might be a better option in this case.
Do we have Pete back? We do not. Okay, so we do have a quorum of 5 of us. So are we ready to take a vote? Everyone said? All in favor of approval of the application as submitted, say aye.
That's me.
All opposed?
Nay.
So it's four opposed, 1 for. I'm sorry, nay. So the application is denied. So I do appreciate, Brian and Sheila, how much time you put into that. And we do recognize it's a small town, so we recognize the work that you've done in this house has just been extraordinary.
And Chairman, my apologies for interrupting. If you could just all state your reason.
Oh,
for
that's
the
right. We need
denial.
reasons as to why.
For example, Commissioner Miniman cited 197 59B.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, I think that, again, to me, I'm not a huge fan of concrete block landscape materials, but to me, it seemed secondary, not like a primary element in the landscape portion of this property, so it's willing to accept it.
Okay, Deborah?
I'm going to vote to deny because I just don't feel that they're appropriate materials for this project.
I'm voting to deny. One, I do want to say I'm new to this commission, a few months, and so I really can't speak to what has gone on in the past, but trying to do my best to interpret the guidelines appropriately, I vote to deny because I do not think the materials are appropriate.
I voted to deny because of the reasons stated and because of citing the code 197 that Alex previously.
B9.
B9, thank you, that he
Yes.
previously referenced.
And I voted to deny, well, I was the chair who denied the initial, and it was based on the same piece of code, which talks about the materials being appropriate for the building of the time and the structure. And to me, it was it was very unfortunate that it had already been built and already been put there, and we recognize how difficult that is. So thank you so much. So Brian and Linda, the secretary will send you a follow-up action notice outlining the action we just took.
So we have to tear down the block wall and dump it
That's correct.
somewhere and then put up something else.
Right.
I don't know if we can afford to
And
do
there's
that.
an option to perhaps do it in brick, perhaps even do it in wood, since you'd already gotten H Park approval for your wood fence there. But that,
You know, I have too much respect for the neighborhood to put up a wooden lattice.
Mhm.
You know, it's going to look like crap.
Thank you so much for both of you joining us this evening. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Janelle, thank you.
Next application is C.2, discussion, public comment and possible action regarding H1825 on behalf of Donald and Margaret Woods for the construction of a new accessory structure, non-contributing. The property is located at 142 Jefferson Avenue, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.12-52.00. The zoning is R4H historic. Who would like to present for, please come on up and if you could, please give us your name and your address.
My name is Kelly Lynch, 115 Kings Highway.
Yeah, Bob Davidson, 17698 Single Point Road.
Okay, if you could take a few minutes just to overview. We have the packet in front of us, of course, and all the information, but we usually like a brief overview of what you were before us before. In fact, Janelle, did you have anything to say from the city about this?
So again, this, the approval for the removal of the structure has been approved for the demolition. They are back. They have taken into your consideration your recommendations from the last meeting. You will need to make a decision at this meeting as it is the second meeting to discuss this application. And they did provide updated drawings and photos kind of showing how you can see it from both the bike trail and Jefferson Avenue.
Yeah. Can,
Please go ahead.
so I had done a real quick recap just to bring everybody back up to speed and refresh memories. So we're here to share our updated plans for replacing a non-contributing accessory structure that sits behind the primary building at 142 Jefferson with a new structure. Our submitted packet includes photographs of the neighborhood buildings, both on Jefferson Ave and on the adjacent bike trail, which is the right of way. The new structure is going in the same location on the property while adhering to the regulations for the City of Lewis property line setbacks. And we've incorporated the helpful feedback we've received from the committee in the past to create a plan that we feel complements the spirit of the non-contributing primary home while having its own character. We think it's an homage to the original non-contributing structure that's being removed. And then we do feel it'll be at home within the downtown historic district. So if you would like us to go through the packet, if you've all read it and we don't need to go through it, we have a lot of neighborhood pictures and that sort of thing in there. So whatever you would like to ask or proceed to from here.
Actually, I appreciate I will mention that the packet was wonderful. The pictures are very helpful. The designs are easy to see. The examples that you gave us were great. And I trust all the commissioners read through the packet. So questions or comments from the commissioners?
I just want to thank you for committing to one design. We had some, questions about the last time that we weren't exactly committed to one design. Thank you also for providing the streetscapes. I think our colleague Debbie Evalds really requested that, and I really appreciate you doing that. That was much easier to understand both streetscapes, or the bikescape and a streetscape. I have a question about shutters, because I noticed that your shutters are handcrafted wood. Are you handcrafting these yourself, or?
I am.
You are? Okay. Are they functional shutters or are they decorative shutters?
They're decorative, they're not hinged.
Okay. All right. But it seemed to me that they were, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were proportionate and could be functional, because it looked like they could close. They were the right size to close, and we're always, interested in making sure that happens. They're the right size. They're not half shutters, they're full shutters. So great, thank you.
Comments, commissioners? Michael?
Well, I do have a question. My first question is, I thought that my understanding was that covered porches were part of the square footage of the building. Is that true? Janelle?
Janelle?
I believe we determined that the covered porch is not part of the footprint of the building. The footprint of the building is separate from the porch.
Because it's elevated or just?
I can
It's
answer that.
unheated, right? It's because it's
My
unheated.
conversation with
It's
John was.
unheated.
Right.
Pardon me?
It's unheated,
Yes,
so it's
yes,
unheated space.
Unconditioned.
So it'll count towards the setbacks, but it doesn't typically count towards the footprint of the building itself.
Okay.
It will count towards lot coverage.
Okay, okay. I was looking through, I want to say that I do like the general design of the building. And I think it replaces the other building quite well and will look fine. I just had a couple of questions on the specifications of the materials. The first one is if you look at 19759B3H, which says no vinyl or aluminum or other metal siding may be used in the construction of any new contributing structure. And what it looks like, the siding is LP Smart siding.
Correct.
So I went to the website and it says that that is made of resins, wax, and zinc borate. Zinc borate is just a fire retardant. And so I was like, well, it's basically just plastic. What is vinyl? So in many cases, vinyl is thought of as PVC, but it's also really vinyl is just a resin containing synthetic plastic or related polymers like PVC. So I was kind of wondering what maybe Mr. Burns or the other commissioners interpret no vinyl siding with relation to a material that is basically just plastic.
We did bring samples. If you'd like to see that it's engineered wood.
That's not that.
Okay.
I'm just going by what I'm told to go by. How you interpret the word vinyl in this situation.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to talk about that. So in this case, the overarching idea is that this would be a non-contributing structure. So it's held to a lower standard. So,
but it's in the non-contributing start part in that section of the.
Correct. So it's really about having consistency across the city with how we apply those sorts of terms. H Park in the past, I'm not sure how they have, the chair might have some insight into how that's been applied. But each property is a little bit different in terms of the specific architectural details that could be included, but materials you need to be consistent with. And when it's a non-contributing structure, it can be a lower standard of what you're applying.
And I will say that my history is not long, perhaps a year and a half at this point. But I'm aware that H Park has approved smart siding in very select situations, but it was always on a non-contributing building. And generally it was not on the facade of the building that would be visible, but this is a building that's visible from two sides, but it is a non-contributing secondary building. So as we well know, that part of the code is unclear as to how to make a very specific determination. But I do know that smart siding has been approved in those situations.
Okay, I also believe that vinyl siding isn't allowed on the porches, and you've specified RZEC. AZEC, which is the PVC, which just is vinyl. There's no getting around that. So I wanted to point that out to everyone.
The AZAC actually is a composite.
Is that
I mean, we can go, it's the vinyl is not polyvinyl chloride, but AZAC is a composite. I mean, that's a.
The website specifies
It's
AZEC or whatever it is.
Did hear me? Did we ever get Pete back? Maybe not.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry, I got in a dead zone. Vinyl was referring to what replaced aluminum siding, at least in the siding context. AZAC has certainly been allowed before on non-contributing buildings. It's a better material, really. I know our past chairman did not like it. And I will add though, one other thing is she definitely didn't like shutters that weren't hinged. And I could get past the siding, I could get past the AZAC, and I'd like to use it myself. But I would like to see the shutters hinged. That's it.
And I will say that again, in my year and a half, we have approved AZAC for very specific situations again. Usually they were non-contributing and they were high moisture areas in which it was to be used for stability, but not on a contributing structure. It is one of the things that I should explain is that, and this is an issue all across the country, is guidelines don't always keep up with new materials. And by and large, PVC is not an acceptable material in most situations, or almost all situations. However, some of the newer materials are different than pure PVC. So it's a difficult situation. We have a lot of trainings about this that we get from the National Association of Preservation Commissions. But I do know that we have approved recently in the last year some AZAC trim and step boards, for example, on stairs. So, and I appreciate your comment, Pete, about hinged shutters. I think in general, that wouldn't be so much of an issue if it weren't a very visible building from the other right of way, which is every property in this town is unique and has its own issues.
Well, I do have one.
But go ahead.
I knew one other thing about the shutters. So if you look at 197-59B8, it says the architectural detail refers to porch shutters and some other things. Decorative shutters shall present appearance of working shutters and shall not be installed on the building unless there's clear evidence of such decorative shutters that were used at some point in the structure's period of significance. Since this is an ADU related to a non-conforming house, I think that the house would dictate if shutters are appropriate. And the house does not have any shutters, nor does it have any of the bracket detailing. So I would say that those really aren't appropriate. It shouldn't if you're going to put that in there, it should more mimic the house that's there. It just seems like a little extra flourish that doesn't go along with these standards.
Okay.
I mean,
one of the reasons that we had chosen to add the shutters was because you had challenged us to perhaps give the cottage a little bit of its own personality that lived in the same space as the other primary house. So that was one of the solutions that we came up with there.
I could certainly see making some of the flare on the columns a little less flare, a little.
Oh, yeah.
But I could argue that the shutters are appropriate, but I would agree that they should work too. They should be fun.
Agreed. The next to the last page of the packet actually shows the profile of the column cappers. The architect put filigree flarish stuff on there for some reason, but go back down one, Janelle. It should be, keep going. Right there on the top left, that's the profile that does mimic the primary house facade. So.
You're talking about the crown
Yes.
molding? Yeah, I think what they're talking about is the filigree corners that are in with the posts on the, when you.
Right, that is what will be there, is that's the crown molding at the top of the posts, and the architect.
Oh, I see.
Rather
Top
than-
of them.
Right,
I
right.
see.
The architect drew in curly
So it's
cues.
very much like the front house.
Yes.
Yeah, because the front of the house is beautiful. It's just elegant.
Right.
It was a comment that I had as well. So I would echo I would like to see the shutters be workable, because that's really what we're aiming for, to keep with the standards as much as possible, because the house is so visible from that area. If it were a different property and we're off in the back and nobody ever saw it, then it probably would make a heck of a lot of difference. But
That's
I
good,
do
that's
like the
good.
idea of having that around the tops of the posts. It's excellent. I appreciated the fact that you addressed so many of the issues that we had before. It made it a lot easier to envision what this would actually look like when it was done, and it's going to be a great improvement for that property for sure. Mike, I'm going to give you a chance to weigh
I
in.
think, my concerns have already been addressed. I wasn't a fan of the, brackets that are shown in the drawing per se. And, I think that, I think that the, trim around the top of the post is a much better option.
Thanks.
No other comments from the commission? Comments from the public on this application? Be more than welcome. Could I get a motion from a commissioner? And Pete, you're still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you,
I'd be happy to make a motion too, if you like. I move that we accept the construction of the replacement building as drawn, with the exception of hinging the shutters to make them truly operational, or at least to appear to be truly operational by using hinges and latches.
do I hear a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Deb Hansen. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm losing track here, 6-0. Thank you so much.
Do we have to?
The secretary
We
will
have to go
send you
around
an action note.
We have to,
Oh, I'm sorry, give our reasons. See, the lawyer keeps reminding us. Pete, could you give your reason for your motion?
My reason is because they've clarified up essentially every issue that we brought up at the last meeting. And I appreciate the effort made by them and think that should go forward.
Thank you. Deborah?
And I voted to approve because I believe that you really did go back to the drawing board, and we appreciate that. You took our suggestions and our thoughts and came back with really nice, clear drawings. I believe we had a discussion about materials, and I hope you understand the struggle we have with technology and materials. But in this particular situation with the non-contributing structure, I think we've resolved that to my satisfaction. So thank you.
I voted to approve because I think it'll be a fine addition to that corner of the lot. And with making the shutters operable, I'm okay with that.
I voted to approve for all the reasons stated by my fellow commissioners.
And I approve by the, same as what Michael just said.
And I'm not going to repeat it either, because I approve for all those exact same reasons. And thank you so much for taking those comments to heart, because you did a very good job bringing this back. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your guidance all along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Our next item is C.3, which is discussion, public comment, and possible action regarding H-22-25 on behalf of Dockside Holdings LLC for the construction of a new home on a vacant lot, non-contributing. The property is located at 311 Chestnut Street, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.07-156.00. The zoning is R4H Historic. And if you could please tell us your name and your address.
My name is Jeff Annemone. I'm one of the owners of Dockside Holding.
Well, need you at the.
My name is
microphone.
Jeff Annemone.
Thank you.
I'm one of the owners of Dockside Holding. This is my attorney, John Horner. He's just here to observe.
And if
And
I ask you to use the microphone, it's because the person who
Okay.
does our minutes needs to be
That's
able to
fine.
hear what we're saying.
it's on,
So-
right?
So please,
Okay. I can hear me now?
yes.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, maybe give Janelle, do you have anything from the city you'd like to say?
For the new construction of a house on Chestnut Street. You guys identified some items that you asked the applicant to take a look at. They have identified and addressed several of those items. So they're back before you tonight for consideration. And again, this is the second night, so you will need to make a decision tonight. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you so much. And now, sorry.
Okay, talking here now. How's everybody doing tonight?
Process is
So-
just, you know.
so- I wasn't before you before because I was dealing with a health issue, but I'm here now.
Correct.
So
It's
it's
good to
great.
have you with us.
Thank you very much. Can I just go over all so I ended up meeting with Janelle and with Kevin to go over all the aspects of it that they didn't like about the house. And we made quite a few changes because of that. Do you want me to go down a list of what they wrote for recommendations and what we did for that?
We have that in our.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they got a copy of the same.
Okay.
Pre-application meeting that I sent to
Do you
you.
want me to go down myself and show you what we did?
Why don't you highlight the things that you.
Okay.
That you think.
They were worried about the size of the dormer and the roof of the dormer. We shrunk the dormer by about 2.5 feet and also put a clipped gable on there, which is in your recommendations there to make the front look a little better. So that was done. We did totally different railings. We got a composite, which is TimberTech. They're basic rails that were done a long time ago, square pickets. I have an example in a car. I would need to look at them. We didn't go with that the crazy railing on there. So that was all changed front and back. Okay, and you can see by the plans. We added the vertical board with a different siding towards the back of the house to break up the long run because they were worried about the way it looked all the same. So we broke it up about halfway and did cedar shakes on the back to break it up with materials. They suggested maybe do different colors, but we're not sure about that because when you go from a lap board to a cedar shake anyway, it's a little bit different contrast anyway. So we did that. We did not do the bump out. So we didn't think that was necessary. And we provided material for outside shower. There's no material there. All it is a clam base and that's it. It's wipe their feet off of. There's no shower enclosure there. We eliminated the fence. Okay. The real elevation is on the new plans. It was on there before also, but the real elevation is on there. Okay. We provided a picture of the lighting in the packet also. And we provided, we got rid of the trash enclosure and the HVAC equipment is shown on the plans on the second floor porch, which is covered by railing also. So it's not in the setbacks. And the driveway is all clamshell now. We didn't do any concrete. The only thing that's on there is the patio's got, it's got pavers. So that's like everything we went over that day. And we tried to accommodate as much as we could. And there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions from the commissioners? Thoughts?
Can you tell us about the large window on the right-hand side of the house? I was looking at the neighbors and I know that there's an empty lot on the left-hand side of the house that I believe you own
Yeah,
that lot as
yes.
well.
Yeah.
So that isn't a point of discussion yet, but there is a very small cottage on the right-hand side. And I'm just wondering if you've given some thought about that really large window. I believe it's a dining room window.
Yeah, it's right here. You're talking about on the right-hand side of, because this is 311 on the
Facing-
right-hand side.
Correct.
Facing the house is going to be our other house on 315.
Correct.
Okay.
But
So
I'm-
that's what you're worried about?
No, I'm looking at, as you face the house, it's on the right-hand side, as you face the house. For the most part, there are no windows on the lower level, except for that dining room
Yeah,
window.
that's it.
And I'm wondering how that might impact your neighbor.
And
Have you thought about that?
not really. I haven't really thought about that at all.
Maybe your neighbor's thinking of.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's in the dining room. I guess it's just, we put that in there, just to get a lot of light, in that dining room.
It's a low window too. It's not
Yeah, but-
high off the foundation, so it's a good sized window.
It would have to be at least 24 inches off the floor because of temperate issue, so.
Janelle has
Janelle,
it.
do you have a comment?
So that window is not going to be visible from the public view.
No, it's not.
Okay. Okay.
Why do you say that?
It is going to be that far back with another house next to it. You're not going to be able to see that. You might see to where the vertical split is, and you might see some of that, but it's going to be very difficult because these are narrow lots to see that big window in the back.
What about from the Bethel Alley side?
I don't think you're going to be able to, you're going to see the back of the other house. I think it's going to be very difficult to see this window from the public view.
And is,
Do we think that or do we know that?
I-
You can see it from the corner.
what's from the corner of the property? And for clarity, Bethel Alley still is a right of way. Okay, it's not one of the accepted alleys. Okay, thank you. You'd have to look at the lot plan to see where the visibility that would be.
I mean, it's a rectangle and you can be to the one side of the rectangle. So, I mean, you would be able to see it, not very well, but I don't really have a problem with it. I'm just saying.
I think there's gonna be
you can
extensive
see-
landscaping in between both lots also, on the sides, so.
Maybe
But
that's
when-
the.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer.
Consider some
Yeah.
landscaping as a.
We have to consider it without landscaping. 'cause
Yeah, okay,
landscaping would go
understand.
away.
I understand.
The way our code is written is in the, we consider the view, even if there is landscaping or fences, because those can always be
Right.
taken away and just for clarity. Other comments?
Okay, I have comments.
Mhm.
I still am struggling with the size of the house on that lot. I understand it's a very small lot.
Yes, it's under
You
conformity.
want a house, but if you, most of the other houses on that street have a little bit of a side lot.
Mhm.
And when I was reading through the guidelines, which I do, 19759A7, it talks about the proportion. It says the relationship between the width and the height of the front elevation of a structure should be compatible to the adjacent structures. Proportion is also the relationship of the different elements of the building itself, including but not limited to the additions, porches, windows, and doors. And it's true that there are houses that are the same height as yours, but those houses have significantly wider facades. Your house is only 26 feet wide.
Mhm.
The similar height houses on that side are approximately 34 feet or wider. The narrow house, there are a few narrow houses on your block. Two of them are 1-story and the other is a 2-story with a very, very slow gable roof. So it's much smaller so that the proportion of the width to the height is more in proportion.
So ultimately, on this, the way we look at it is you have a zoning district that's got maximum setbacks, height restrictions and things like that. And obviously the historic overlay is on top of that. And so the way that we look at it is to arbitrarily restrict sort of the amount of the lot that you're using from a setback perspective would go sort of opposite of what your code says with respect to those things. So ultimately, I understand if you had concerns about massing and how it looked relative, but concerns regarding the setback and the footprint, I don't think would be, I think frankly, it would be an arbitrary distinction relative to your code that sets firm standards for setbacks.
Okay, I might be confused and Mr. Burns can correct me if I am, but I think we're talking about two codes. There's the general setback code, and then Board of Adjustment says, okay, we'll give you a variance. But the historic code is totally separate. It's not an or. It's you have to meet the setback requirements or get adjustments, and you also have to meet the historic codes that are
Correct.
codes.
But
So it's not a this or that. It's, you've got to do both.
well,
So
what I would say is
so
that
I was
there's-
reading the code that says the proportion of height to width should be comparable to the other houses on the street.
right. So
And
what
I
would
don't
say-
think it is.
Right, so what I would say to that is, you're right, there is a historic overlay that has a code that says, hey, you have to comply with these historic guidelines, correct?
Mhm.
But what you have is when you have a firm set of standards that says, hey, these are your setbacks and these are your rules related to this zoning district, and then you have an arbitrary determination that says, hey, we think in this context, your setback should actually be 2 feet wider on either
Can
side,
you hear that?
right? That would be
Could you
sort of.
get closer to the microphone,
Right.
please? Thank
In,
you.
in my opinion, that would be sort of an arbitrary and capricious distinction to be made in that context. Because the city has set, even within the historic district, knowing that it is a historic district, they have not defined set criteria related to that. They have sort of nebulous criteria that isn't actively applied. So when you look at case law, for example, related to architectural restrictions or application of historic guidelines, for example, if you don't have strict firm standards and you make a decision that is somewhat arbitrary by saying, I don't think it necessarily goes with this, but you do have strict standards somewhere else in the code, I think you're flying pretty close to the sun. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
Well, I think one of the things I have to sort of echo, and you know, we talked about the size of the door.
Yeah, yeah.
Because one of the things that, and I had proportion down there as well from that exact same part of code, is because I don't see a lot of difference from the first one. You said it was brought in.
Yeah,
a
it was
little bit,
15.9
but
on
it
the
is-
interior, but now it's like 13.6.
Just.
But it's got the clip gable on there.
And I know that was an issue that you had.
Yeah.
With, you know, the people who want the house or own the house.
We did shrink it 2.5, about 2 feet, 3 inches.
I appreciated although I would have thought the bump out would have been a much better way of handling that solid wall. Certainly the transition to the shingles makes a big difference. I think that
think it did,
really
yeah.
does help to break up the eye along there.
You mean
I'll
bump
ask
in?
other commissioners for their thoughts first, though.
I think I'm thinking of it a bump in. Where
Well,
before
bump
the
in, not a
side,
bump out,
behind the
bump
side
in.
gable.
Yeah.
In most cases, you would bring that part of the building in some.
Mhm.
I will agree that on the left side of the building, it's treated a lot better. I think on the right side of the building, where you have the gable coming down and you've got a flat wall on either side of that just hanging gable,
Mhm.
emphasizes that it's just one big block.
No.
And that's why we broke it up in material changes. So that's why we broke it up with different material, because it was one, it was just siding going all the way down.
But not on the right side.
On the right side, the break is
That's
after
the
the
left-
window,
that's-
Oh,
so the
okay.
gable
Yeah,
is
it was
left
just-
hanging.
It's just hanging there. It's weird.
It's the wrong side.
I think that's why the window bothers me. That's why the window bothers me.
Yeah, that's right there. It breaks. So what are you concerned about the break there?
If
On
you
the
look
right
at this,
side?
if you look at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you've got
It's
you've got the
what-
side gable,
Yeah, I
But-
see that.
but you've got it, the whole, it's just like maybe like a foot of gable sticking in a flat surface. Like if you're trying to make it look like there's a front part of the house and the back part of the house, that is not doing it.
If you move that separate vertical line further over,
Like between.
so this looked like there was an old house.
Like,
and then
well, you'd have to go
it's different.
kind of in between the windows there.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, that's not hard to do. It's just, we saw, I mean, I didn't want to do that because how tight the windows are there, but that's not hard to do.
And you could further differentiate it, and we've seen
Yeah.
that done by bumping the rear part back a foot so that it's not one level flat surface. There's some differentiation in that flat surface in the.
I've got a million pictures in the town of Lewis where there's not a bump out on any of the houses on any of the historic homes. So to say that, we're in a non-conforming lot, it's a small lot anyway. So it's hard to get everything in there, and you say a foot, but that foot could affect the stairs and everything else. So you have to redesign the whole house at great expense. So that's why we decided to go with this option, with breaking up it with siding.
Are there any other houses on Chestnut Street with a second-story porch?
I had to get, I have all the things in my truck, all the pictures of all
I
the.
don't know about on Chestnut
See,
Street.
but we have like,
There are,
Oh, well,
I know there are, but I'm asking about Chestnut Street.
yeah, I'm not certain on.
I can go
Chestnut.
out.
so.
Yeah,
well,
I'm not
there's nothing
sure.
to say about that. Okay. Sorry. 19759B6. No. Just bear with me for a minute. So I did write this down. Ah. 19759B6, porches. If a porch is to be included in a new construction or alteration, it shall adhere to the height line and average depth
That's
of
all.
other porches in the surrounding neighborhood. The historic district can be seen to be made up of small but different neighborhoods. For example, houses along Pilot Town Road would never be considered to be in the same neighborhood as a house on Coleman. I think there's only one 2-story porch near 311 Chestnut. If you look between Savannah and Mulberry and 3rd and 4th, which I would consider a neighborhood. There are none on Chestnut. There's one on 112 3rd Street, and that porch is probably twice as deep, and the attic level above it is pretty, it's pretty negligible. So I don't think that in the context of this specification, that the double porches here are something that is in that neighborhood or of that size.
But you said there is one right in that neighborhood? Is that what I heard?
I said one, yes.
Okay, so it's consistent with that then? Okay, thank you.
But it's not, but that porch is probably 10 feet deep. Your porch is 5 feet deep,
6 foot wide.
5.5 feet deep.
Yeah, like 6 foot.
Are there guidelines on the depth of porches?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, I'll read it again. I'll read that part. Should adhere to the height line and average depth of other porches in the surrounding neighborhood.
And are there other porches in the neighborhood that are 5 foot in depth?
I didn't see any, but I didn't measure each one of those.
Did you measure the 10-foot porch?
I did not truthfully measure it, and that is true.
Okay.
But
I know,
it's
I think I remember.
I guess sort of the overarching concern on our side is we met with you all. We wanted to present a home that adhered to the standards, and we took the feedback from the design. We took the list that Janelle provided to us, and it did everything that we could to accommodate that within the confines of ultimately the ultimate home purchaser, what they were willing to concede on. We went and got examples of this type of architecture, how it is utilized within the city. And then, they essentially brought me in to research the case law and understand what's going on with the overlay, the historic overlay, and what the issues are, given their concerns about an arbitrary and capricious denial. And that's frankly why I'm here. So, here we've endeavored in every way, shape, and form to comply with this. And then we've taken the recommendations that were given and really endeavored to comply. And so given that it's a second application, given that we provided the examples of second porches, we've provided examples of 2-floor porches, we provided examples of porches that do have that similar depth. It seems a little bit like the goalposts then get moved to say, well, yeah, we've seen 2-floor porches, but not in what we are defining as a neighborhood, which isn't a defined term in the code and not a defined term anywhere in Lewis's code. And then, excuse me. And so we have that. And then we're saying, well, okay, you've got porches of this depth. We have 2-floor porches, but do you have a 2-floor porch of this exact depth in what we are arbitrarily defining as a neighborhood that isn't otherwise defined in code? It's a really hard standard to meet, and it's a goalpost moving that when you're an applicant, and you just want hard standards, so you can come in, you can do the right thing, you can design something consistent that will lend itself to the quality character of the city. And you get here and you're saying, okay, I got the feedback, I'm following, I'm doing everything they've said. And then you get here and it says, wait a minute, there's more. So that's what's really hard for applicants.
Okay, I understand that and I appreciate that. And I hear what you're saying. I find my job here is to interpret the standards to the best of my knowledge and my ability. And I do want to point out that when you say that the neighborhood definition is capricious, when you were at the Board of Adjustments, your attorney, Mr. Schaub, was talking about setbacks. And he said, there are 41 properties located within 1 block of the applicant's properties that do not comply with the side yard and setback requirements. Later on, he goes on to say, he points out that in the neighborhood around the applicant's properties, most homes are located close to the property lining. In this application's, he says, point out in the neighborhood around the applicant's properties. So he has already defined essentially the neighborhood. He's defining it as 1 block. I'm giving you 6 blocks.
Right. I guess.
So I'm saying my saying it's a neighborhood is not capricious.
Sure.
All right. And it was defined.
Other comments from the commissioners?
Public comment?
Okay, if you have other comments, okay,
No.
then I wanted to ask the
Does Pete
public.
have any,
Pardon me?
does Pete have any comments?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pete.
You know, the Secretary of Interior definitely says that it's not meant to look like a historic building, so it is differentiating itself.
Mhm.
And they did meet everybody's concerns from the last meeting. Other than that, I'm done. Yep.
Would anybody from the public like to speak for the applicant? Please come forward. Your name and address, please.
Leanne Wilkinson, 2020 Savannah Circle. I was here at the last meeting and I've met with Janelle a few times and Kevin a few times, and I've been in front of the board many, many times over the years, different people up there. But I do want to say, I know you flipped through those porch pictures pretty quickly and I thought somebody was going to bring them, but since they're not here, I feel like there, if you're taking like Savannah Road to, let's say, Park Avenue and making that square from 3rd Street to 4th Street and calling that a neighborhood, I don't know that you should say, is there any double porches on Chestnut Street? I don't think there are. But if you take that square, I think you're going to find more than one. And I think that some of them were approved by H Park. And if you look at those names underneath of there and just take those streets, Savannah to Park, 4th to 3rd, you're going to find a few double porches and a few that were approved by H Park. You're going to find one on 2nd Street that was approved by H Park. That's this thing. I mean, I understand that you guys are what you're trying to do, and I appreciate that. And I think that they did go back and make some changes that you all asked for, most of them. But you have to be, when you're building a new house, I mean, people want certain things inside of a house. If you wanted an old house, you would have to work within the confines of the old house. But like you said, bringing it in, that's going to change the entire floor plan on the 1st, 2nd, and the half story on the 3rd. So I do think you have to try to think differently on these new houses than you're doing with the old ones that people are trying to renovate. That's just my opinion. And yes, I have the properties for sale, and yes, I would like to sell them, but that's not the only reason I'm here, because I'm going to be back from my own house next week or the week after. So
And we look forward to seeing.
yeah. So anyway, I can't see that far away, but I mean, there's a double porch that's on 3rd Street. If I had the papers in my hand, I could figure it out, but
Yeah,
there's quite
we have the
there's quite a
photos
few
in
of
our
them.
packets.
There's quite a few of them in that square block there. That's all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Or any more discussion by the group, can I get a motion from someone?
I would say that I appreciate everything Leanne just said, and she actually said in new houses, people want things on the inside that they can't get in a historic house, but not on the outside. And to me, I agree that you did try to meet, you endeavored to meet some of the criteria that was brought out. But to me, a second floor porch on Chestnut Street just does not seem appropriate in any way, shape, or form based on the streetscape. So that is one of my concerns.
My main concern was still with the size of the dormer up front. And one of the problems that we run into with new construction, and this is a very good case of it, and of course there'll be another case coming along when you come home with your other one, is that you've already decided what the house is going to be and how many rooms should be in it, and you've got a buyer, and we can't be constrained by what you already have decided and brought to us. I appreciated on this that you made as many changes as you did. That initial double porch was very Southern plantation-like, and it was, but I was disappointed, I would say, that because proportion-wise, the dormer is large. It's really up there, and that is out of proportion with this building, but it's out of proportion with other houses on the street by its pure height and size and depth. And I know you were concerned that that's what the owners wanted, is to have that room up there. So it's our struggle to try to adhere to the standards as best we can without, and we do like creativity, and we like people to do what they want, but as she said, sometimes you can't get what you want in a historic house. Well, that's why it's a historic center or a historic district, is the houses are different than if you go outside the district where you can build very big houses. But I did appreciate the changes that you brought to this, because I think that you honestly tried to bring some things down. But I know your comment was that that dormer was going to be a struggle for the
The aesthetic part of it, and we shrunk it as much as we could, so.
Can I entertain a motion from one of and Pete, you're still there?
I'm here.
Okay, just to make sure.
Yep. I stopped driving just to make sure I didn't get cut off.
Thank you.
Nobody will make the motion?
I don't hear one yet.
Well, just for yucks, I make a motion that we accept the construction as the changes that were presented today.
And do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mike Looney. Discussion? I believe this is a difficult one for folks. Okay, hearing no discussion, I will ask all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
5-1, it is denied.
Hey, all right.
So Chairman,
Now,
please let everyone go around
we're
and
gonna have
give their
our
reasons.
reasons, but I will say that you are more than welcome to come and meet with us again at the city and H Park. So Pete, your reasons for voting the way you did?
My reasons for it were the obvious difficulty of the small lot. It's a shame that it wasn't just one lot. And the fact that they certainly tried to work with us. and it differentiates it from the historic buildings.
Thank you. And Mike Looney.
Well, I would still don't feel like it enhances or brings a positive new impact on the historic district.
Commissioner, is there a
Dev
specific code
Hanson?
provision for that statement?
Pardon me?
Is there a specific code provision you could point to, Commissioner, for that?
Boy,
I'm happy to help you with that. I
probably
don't want to put words in your mouth.
You had the same one I did.
Yeah,
197.
I would say the portion that speaks to the relationship, the proportion and the height and facade treatment, that would be
197.
197. Yeah, 59.7.
Thank you, Deb Hanson.
Yes, that same citation, and I'm struggling with the proportion of width to height. And I just feel that it is too tall for the width of the lot.
I denied it for a couple of reasons. One, 19759A7, the proportion of width to height. I found the massing too big and with no cutbacks in the rear part of the building, it makes the building just feel too big for that street. It doesn't match the streetscape. The dormer's too big, and I don't find the double porch really appropriate on that street either.
I voted no because of 19759A7 as well, and I echo the comments of the other commissioners.
And I voted to deny as well for the exact same code, 7C on proportion. And that was after, I think, pretty carefully trying to work with the applicants to adjust that. And there was little adjustment in that. And so the overall mass of the building still is out of proportion with what should be in the neighborhood.
So Chairperson, just sorry to interrupt again.
Sure, no,
At
please.
this point, you have a few options. You could move on the agenda. You could take another motion. Of course, you could have an approval with conditions or just stick with denial. But it's up to the chair what you want. What do you want to do as far as the agenda progress?
Well, as the applicants have left the room, it's hard to make that negotiation, but as we always are, we're more than happy to meet with them and try to come up with an adjustment that would make more sense about proportion. And we had a long discussion with the city and me with the owner over this. And there were just some things that would not change or did not change. So I'm more than happy for them to come back with an application that takes those things in consideration and brings the proportion back into reasonable shape.
Did we hear from the owner this evening?
That was the owner.
Oh, that's the owner and the attorney.
It's not going to be the owner of the house. It's the developer
lot.
who owns the
Okay.
property. And I will reiterate that this is a difficult situation where the property was advertised and the house was advertised way before they actually came to H Park. So so then when you say this is out of proportion, well, we can't change that because we've already sold it to someone based on this. And this was a question that came to the city perhaps a year ago, is how is it someone can be advertising to sell this property with this house on it when they haven't yet gotten any of the approvals to do that? So it's an unusual situation.
But to be clear, the house has been sold to a homeowner by the developer. Is that correct?
I don't know what the
You don't.
legal part of they do have someone who wants this house and is then directing them that this is how I want the
And
house
your
to be.
sense is that the developer's working with that homeowner and they clearly
They made that
were
clear.
weighing in and had an expressed interest and preferences in the design of the home.
I would say in our pre-application meeting, that was clear, that they were in good communication.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to add, Janelle, since you were in that
I just
meeting
want
as well?
to verify with Alex, the motion to approve failed, but is the application denied because the motion to approve failed?
Correct, yep.
I see.
So there could be a motion to approve with the removal of the second floor porch and the reduction.
In the
dormer.
absence of the applicants.
They were here.
Absolutely, they were here. They did not, they stayed for one motion. If you want to, because from what my understanding, those were the two main issues. There is some massing issues, but you know, those were the two main issues that I heard. I mean, if I missed something else.
The
let me know.
dormer and the,
In the second story.
second story porch.
So if somebody believes that would be an appropriate motion, that could be considered. Correct, Alex?
That's correct. Yep. that's
thank
what-
you. Thank you for that.
If that's not made, it's a denial. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
And do I have a motion from a commissioner? Pete, you're there still with us? Someone else to make a motion to that and that effect?
Sorry, I'm here still. I then will change my motion or make a new motion then.
Make a new motion.
Yeah, that pending reduction in the dormer. And I'm not so big on the porch. I mean, it really does differentiate things, but if that's what y'all want. So elimination of the second floor porch, reduction of the third floor dormer, that it would be accepted. And I don't know if you have to eliminate the third floor dormer, if you split it into two, so it looked more like dormers with a 3:5 ratio, 3 width, 5 height. But that's gonna kill the room. But there are ways to disguise that too, with a connection between the two independent dormers, maybe set back 18 inches, and then you get two cool window seats, but.
Pete, would you accept a friendly amendment to that?
Sure.
That prior to this being final, we have the ability to see what this redesign looks like, especially with the dormer?
And what are we suggesting? I mean, what does a reduction in the dormer mean?
So would
To
it
give
be
some
what
specifics.
Mr. Looney?
Said is potentially of two, or give them an option and that it can come back through the chair and staff process, or it can come back through the full commission. If they are amenable to accepting that consideration to either reduce it even more, or they would get an option of reducing it further, or potentially doing two dormers as Commissioner Sanger suggested.
You were gonna join this.
Oh, I thought I heard Peter asking my opinion.
Absolutely.
I think either a couple of narrow dormers or narrowing the double window dormer, either one.
Bring it down.
And bring just
I like
the
the
mass of the dormer on that roof reduced one way or the other would improve it.
They seem to be very concerned about having a specific definition of what is allowed and what isn't allowed. So I'm concerned about saying a reduction in the dormer because it's they could remove an inch. Not that they would, but if you don't, if they're saying we don't understand what you want, and then you just say a reduction and they take a foot off of it, it's probably not going to change the look of the dormer.
How about if there's a
They'll be meeting what they said and then they'll be mad because, well, we did what you said.
How about if there's a singular dormer that is no more than 33% of the overall width of the roof?
Bingo.
I like that.
A third of the width of the roof, one dormer.
Yep. Or do two and make some hidden connection between them. But I think I'd rather see one, frankly.
Agreed.
Agreed. It'd be more useful to them.
Yep.
So do I have a second to a motion?
Oh.
It is.
So for
cost-
clarity, could the
clarify.
whole motion be restated?
Okay,
I was
yes.
just going to clarify.
I was
the
going to try
dormer-
to clarify.
The dormer ends up being 8 feet. House is 24.
24.
It's a third. It's a 8 foot wide.
No more than.
Maybe too much then, because it's what he said 9.3 now at this point.
That's got to be more than
Yeah,
that
it
three.
looks like it's wider than that.
Yeah.
I get in trouble when I flip back over to the other screen.
That's going to take a long time.
So could we have a restatement of the motion? The motion would be to approve with the
Reduction
condition
of the third
that they.
dormer. Yeah.
This
Yeah, I'm sorry.
single
Go
door-
ahead.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, to approve if there's a reduction of the third floor dormer to no more than a third of the overall width of the roof, the facing roof, Chestnut Street facing roof, and the elimination of the second floor porch
I would second that.
with clarification by chair and staff. I mean, final clarification.
Correct. Fine, right. Second.
Seconded by Deb Hansen. Any further discussion? I am, I would say that the proportion is still going to look odd, very, very out of proportion, if it's as tall as it is.
What if you took it down to a shed dormer then?
Well, we suggested a shed dormer. We
Yeah.
thought that that would have been really reducing, giving them, I mean, even with the width, the shed dormer would have given them a very different proportional view of that third floor.
Yep.
It would have reduced it down.
A completely different feel.
That was a suggestion that we'd had in the pre-application meeting.
Plus, the reality is they don't really need an 8-foot wall at the face of the dormer either, because I'm assuming the bed's going to go there or something. You're not going to be standing in front of it.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what their thoughts were with that.
If
So
it had-
again, we,
Add more glass and less facing siding too, it'd be way more interesting. You know, if it were lower, a shed roof, and if it's going to be wide, then let's make it short. Again, it gets down to ratios.
well, that's what proportion is all about. It's about the
Yep.
ratios and
Yep.
what that would look like from the street. So what I'm hearing, I think, well, we've had a second. So actually, what's yeah, we need discussion on it because that was not part of the motion.
Okay, I'm kind of confused on.
Yes.
Are we saying the dormer is 8 feet wide, basically shaped the way it is? Or are we saying you can go to a shed dormer? Or are we saying you do a shed dormer 1/3 the width of the house?
That's why
There's a
I'm
lot
saying it
going
was
back and forth,
confusing
and I'm
because
not-
we added
not
one
knowing
more.
exactly what everybody
of-
is thinking.
I know that the motion was to eliminate the second story porch.
Correct.
That seemed to be settled with both the first and the second, with the motion maker and the second. The reduction in the dormer appears to be that it be no more than 1/3 the width of the roof. And so I would put it then in a friendly amendment. Because I was more concerned about the proportion with the height once you do that. That the applicant be given the option to make that a shed dormer. So that it would reduce that distortion in the proportion. And that would come before chair and staff approval. And just to be clear, in chair and staff, if it is so very different than what is expected, that it could be brought back to the full commission. Is that the motion that we now have? Is that acceptable to have that friendly amendment to the motion?
Can I say
Yes.
something?
Yes.
Do you want to say 1/3 the width of the roof or 1/3 the width of the house? Because I suspect the house is 24, the roof is 26.
Hmm.
I'm an engineer, I can't help it.
And I'm looking for clarification that it's either the dormer is a maximum of 1/5 the width of,
1/3.
1/3. I do have that written down right. The width of the roof or the house, or a shed dormer. Should that also be not to exceed 1/3?
Correct.
Okay, so.
So it's an
either or.
and.
You get, you.
I'm
you're
sorry,
getting-
yes. It
Can
is,
I ask
With
Mike-
the dormer is 1/3 the width of the roof. Or
I would
a
say-
shed dormer.
Let's
not
make
to-
it 1/3 of the roof. It gives them a little bit, just
more room?
a little more room.
And also, what I want to ask you, Mike Looney,
Yeah, and
so it's
They're
an
up-
and,
It's an and, not an or.
correct.
Mike Looney,
Because go ahead,
yes,
Pete.
Pete?
doing it as a shed roof, you could bring the overall height way down.
Yeah.
In the drip line of the front edge of the roof, and it would become more of a craftsman kind of dormer rather than a faux colonial dormer, that most of Lewis would have.
Yeah. Well, I think that would look,
Differentiated,
sure, and I think that would be more appealing than this
Poignant.
arts and crafts kind of look to the dormer that's there right now, and it's not really tied to any sort of stylistic
Style.
yeah.
So if I can I want to make sure I've got the motion
Thanks, Jen.
correct. The motion and we have a friendly motion amendment to that it needs to be and a shed dormer. But the motion is to approve as submitted with the dormer not to exceed 1/3 the width of the roof and it to be a shed dormer. And the elimination of the second floor front porch.
Correct, that's what I have.
And approved as submitted. So there's a second look. Yes, thank
As
you.
approved and the rest of the submission as submitted tonight.
Correct.
Is Pete comfortable with the friendly amendment that it also has to be the shed dormer? And then there's the seconder comfortable with the friendly amendment of the shed dormer?
I'm absolutely comfortable with the shed dormer. I think that appeases everybody's concerns.
We have a motion on the table.
And I agree as well.
Is there a final chair and staff?
Yes.
Yes.
And the motion also includes a final review of the two items as mentioned, have to be reviewed through the chair and staff process prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table and a second. Is there any further discussion amongst the commissioners? Okay,
This only addresses the dormer and not the porch.
No.
no, the porch was in there.
Okay,
It
I'm sorry, I missed
was
that. I'm sorry.
suggesting not having the
All
second
right, suggested.
porch. Yeah, it was the elimination of the porch. Can I take a comment? Okay, Joe? Yeah, use your microphone, Joe.
Meeting Chairman, I had mentioned my concern was about the depth of the parking in the back because it was so short. If we're eliminating the double porch and they pull in, is there just going to be a flat wall in that short area for parking? It's such a large house, and my concern is always that there's enough off-street parking. Would you consider that porch and how that will work out in the end without it being there? Will that just become solid wall? Will that add to the footprint of the house, or will that be eliminated when they remove the double porch?
So we're talking.
They're just removing the second floor.
Just the second floor.
Just
The
the
second floor on the
Okay.
Not on
front
the-
of the
on
house.
just on the front.
That answers
Just
my
on
question.
On the
Chestnut
Chestnut
Street.
Street side of the house.
Great.
Okay, so we do have a very complex motion, and second, but I think we have clarified it quite well. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
I think, okay, and so nobody is opposed. Because I heard all the
Still
others.
have
And
to
please
give-
go around.
So we
state-
still have
state
to
your
give our reasons.
And if possible, cite a code reference
Mhm,
to make
mhm.
clear that these conditions are not arbitrary, but rather
Correct.
rooted in historic preservation and tethered to specific code
You
provisions.
hear that, Pete?
Yeah, and I'm gonna have problems citing code because I'm handicapped sitting here in the dark.
Yeah, I know, you're calling from a distance,
If
but give
somebody
us your reasons
look
then.
that up
And
for me,
then
but I would say it was gonna make the scale and massing more compatible with the existing streetscape with
Okay.
the changes.
Deborah,
Also got.
your reasons?
We're citing 197
59, A7.
A7. So again, back to proportion, but I believe that this suggestion is a better proportion for the dormer on the roof. And I also believe that it's more appropriate to eliminate that second porch. So this in general is more cohesive with the surrounding streetscape and the rhythm of Chestnut.
Okay, I voted to approve for 197-59A7 with respect to proportion of width to height, and I believe changing the dormer to a shed dormer will reduce the appearance of height to width nonconformity. And in addition, I am citing 197-59B6, which talks about the size of the porches with respect to other porches in the neighborhood.
I voted yes because of, I feel that the revisions meet 197-59A7A and 197-59A7C, as well as 197-59B6. Especially in regards to the dormer and the porch.
I voted for the motion along the same lines as previously stated.
And I voted for this as well for the exact same areas of code on proportion, height, and facade treatment.
And I'd just
Thank
like to, excuse me.
Please, go ahead, Deb.
No, I'd like to state that by doing this and by revisiting another option, a motion, I'd like to think this gives the applicant, even when they're not in the room, but when they receive this report, the applicant an option that we're willing to work with them and that we still, we didn't just shut this down, that we would like to continue this conversation.
Exactly.
And it does highlight the importance of what we had in our updated guidelines for proposal for the coming guidelines, which is we want pre-applications all the time, pre-application meetings, so that someone doesn't come in with completed plans, everything's done, they know exactly where the faucets are going to be, and now they're saying, here's what we have. Whereas we currently have it in code that they can do that if they wish, come in and meet with us. But we have proposed in our discussions that if they're going to come before H Park, it should be mandatory they have a pre-application meeting. And the process has been, as I think many of you know, that Janelle and I have been having as many pre-application meetings as we can, or in this case, they applied, we met with them, and then they came back. So it was sort of the second presentation of an application. And it's not a guarantee that applicants will take the advice, but we do our best to try to do that, because the whole pre-application process is not binding. We don't force them what to do, but we certainly do give them a sense of what the commission might be concerned about when they come forward and how to address that. Comment from Joe Elder.
Sure. Good.
Yeah, bring the microphone over.
I would like to thank all of you for your patience this evening, especially on this final application, and your diligence to try and serve those customers, even though they left the room. I really respect what you just did and the options that you give them. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the advice because I have not often seen that option where we can do that post a vote. So it's in my book now. So it is something that I will keep in line.
We have, you know, collectively, I mean, probably Mike DiPaolo is our senior member, seasoned member now. And I would say that at least during my tenure, there have been a couple of instances where these very difficult conversations result in the applicant going back to the drawing board and ultimately being more pleased with the outcome than they were in the first or second attempt at a design. And I would say as an artist, that happens all the time. It's the 30th solution to the problem, not the second solution to the problem.
Well, thank you very much. And we will reach out to the applicants to make sure that they know what the additional discussion was, and of course, how to watch the video to see that discussion that we just had. All right, moving on with the agenda, there is no unfinished business to discuss tonight. Under new business, this was a proposal that we had discussed a while back in our guidelines discussions, but we never moved it to implementing it now is just a practice. And I'll read it's E1 is discussion and possible action to approve public hearing dates for the commission. The public hearing dates will be used if needed. If a public hearing is not required, a public hearing will not be held. And so to remind everyone, the concept here was that when someone comes before us and says, I want to demolish this little part of a structure, in the past, H Park has said, we need a public hearing for that. So see you next month. And the next month would be the public hearing. And we thought that that was just tedious and too difficult for people. So we're setting it up so that when an application comes, we know you're going to need a public hearing. We've already got one scheduled. Every single meeting will have a potential public hearing. If it's not necessary, we don't have it. We just move right into the regular meeting. But if they come with their application, we know, let's say demolition of a secondary structure, for example, like we had this evening, we could hold the public hearing, finish it, and then immediately go right into hearing that application. So it allows the applicant to do it all in one meeting rather than to do it in two meetings separated by a month. So to that, our staff, Janelle, thank you so much, put in your packet a list of dates that coincide with our meetings from October 2nd up until June 4th, which would be the end of this 25-26 year for H Park meetings that we have scheduled already. And she has put next to each one what the submission guideline, the deadline would be for an application for public hearing that would be appropriate for her to be able to do the public notice, get the signs out, do everything that needed to be done. So I appreciate that organization, Janelle, and it has been in our packet. So I believe we should have a motion and vote on this as accepting these dates. I won't read them out because they're in the packet, and the person doing our minutes will already have all of these dates, but they coincide with our already scheduled regular meeting dates.
I move that we approve the public hearing dates for the Lewis Historic Preserve, H Park. And that if a public hearing is not needed, a public hearing will not be held.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Your motion passes. And do we need no, we don't need any decisions to why we did that. Thank you. Next item is F, the chair and staff report. Janelle, only as much as you want to say. I don't believe we need to read each and every single one of them. Do you believe that we can
It was a busy
accept the
month.
report? It was a very busy month.
It was a very busy month, and I think from the time of application to a decision being rendered, it's about 2 to 3 days at this point. Some were even done the same day. So it's moving rather quickly.
Janelle and I have really sharpened up the chair and staff application process to make it very fast and very efficient and well documented. So you can see the ones that are on there. There, a lot of them.
I just want to note those decision notices as well. I have file folders all over my computer now. Thank you very much. But as secretary, it really helps to go back and have those decision notices that I can use that language and have accurate language when we're making those notices.
To clarify what Deb Hansen's talking about is a few months ago, all we had from H Park was when a decision was made here in the full commission review, an action notice was sent to applicants to tell them what the findings were and what the vote was and the conditions, if there were conditions applied. But that didn't happen with chair and staff. It was not documented so well, and they may have gotten an email, but it wasn't anything sort of official. So I instituted a few months ago a decision notice, not an action notice from the commission, but a decision on chair and staff, in which we outline what we talked about, what the application was for, and it's approved with conditions or not, or whatever. The vast majority of chair and staff are acceptable. And Janelle's very helpful because she collects the necessary materials. But now that we have a system that works very quickly, that goes back and forth very fast and people get a quick turnaround. The third thing that we instituted was these pre-application meetings, in which we've now had quite a few. And after that is done, then we compare notes, put it together, and write a summary statement, which is like an action notice, like a decision notice, but it's we had a meeting for pre-application. We send that back to the applicant saying, thank you so much for the time. Here's what we discussed. Here are the things that are of concern that you might want to address when you come back to H Park. So tightening up the documentation and the clarity in what we're trying to provide to folks. So I much appreciate the city's assistance in that.
Could I make a suggestion? Could the summary from the pre-application meeting, could that be listed as a separate attachment so it's clear to everyone on the agenda that there was a pre-application meeting? Because they're buried at the very end of the
It's buried at the
packet.
end of that application.
Yeah, I think it
Might
reminds
be a
the-
good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And great job in tightening things up.
Yeah.
I would suggest you should delegate a little bit and maybe sign a sponsor to some of the pre-application meetings.
Well, that is the plan, and as well as the chair and staff.
Good.
Because I think we spoke maybe 3 meetings ago or 4 meetings ago, perhaps, that I did not have the benefit of attending chair and staff when I was not the chair.
Right.
So
Right.
it was a new and different experience. And so we had discussed during one of our special meetings that indeed it should start to rotate, because it says the chair or their designee.
Yep.
So there are some people with expertise in different areas that would be better at this. And as far as the pre-application meetings, I have been inviting different folks, just one other person to some of them to see. And some of we've had the meetings, and some of the meeting has not occurred for one reason or another. But that is the intent, is to share this load. Just briefly, I think, as Janelle said, it was a busy month. So we started with chair and staff 21, and we just finished, I believe, with 34 yesterday. 36 yesterday. So it was a very busy month with people doing things, chair and staff. Okay. Item G, public comment. Thank you for public who have stayed around and lasted through all this. Is there anyone online, Janelle, other than Pete, that might want to make public comment, or anyone in the audience?
No public online.
Thank you very much. Anyone in the audience? Can I take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned at 8:05 PM. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
That's a lot of